Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 says, what is going on with the Bahamian government? This takes us to TikTok. Let me see if I can even play this.
All right, listen, I see a lot of crazy stuff going on in the Bahamas, and it's like a lot to like take in. Number one, the part of Bimini, which is Eastwell, which is also a natural fishery that has the mangroves. They sell it off. When the Bahamian people of Bimini, the natural natives, the people that been there, born there, stay there, bred there, and got died that start speaking out, y'all started to call the police to try and shut a certain individual up. His name is Denver Story. He's an old classmate of mine. And this man always been in nature from we was kids, so he know what he talking about when he talk about fisheries. Other than that, y'all selling Ragged Island for $19 million. Y'all only supposed to be selling Bahamian Islands. Y'all could lease something, lease the keys, but don't sell the islands where people grew up on, bro. Like, don't do that. Y'all telling me y'all sell out our country and our culture so much. I talk under the government. Y'all sell out our country and our culture so much at the fact that y'all so deep in debt that y'all need to start literally selling the islands. What y'all doing? What y'all doing there in the government office? I don't understand. I don't get it. It's hard to fathom. I from Bimini. Like, I's Bahamian. I's a Bahamian. And I know what's going on. Y'all actually sell the beach that like this. The beach is supposed to be crown land. You ain't never supposed to sell the beach. The beach belongs to the natives. All natives supposed to be on the beach. I don't get it. I'm home, but I feel the pressure. Then when certain people go and try and make their little dollars, make their money, guess what happened? Police and all the other people step in and say, yeah, you can't be here. Taxi drivers down in Nassau, Bay Street, whenever the crews come in, guess what happening? Oh, so you may be on this side of the road. You can't be as like soliciting. You're bothering the people. Bro, that's how the people is make money, brother. What you expect? That's how the man make his bread, brother, for the last 20 years, dog. And then even go back up to Resort World Bimini, golf cart vendors, taxi drivers. These people been there for years, but yet y'all want to flush everybody out. The only thing left in Bimini now is a bunch of seaweed and driftwood. Think they run teams. Y'all ain't from that, bro. Y'all only passing through, and y'all doing a lot of generational damage to people who did a lot of work to make sure that place look the way it is and be the way it is, bro. I Beeman, but I can let y'all know what's going on. I'm from Bimini, and as a proud Biminite, and as a proud Beeman. But Bahamas, y'all need to get y'all stuff together. Government, y'all need to get y'all stuff together. And stop trying to come up on the poor people. Try and help them out so the Bahamas could be better. We ain't supposed to be in debt.
Okay, I had to stop sharing that because some of the nonsense was coming up. Well, that's a very Bahamian specific prompt, obviously. I'll let Buana go last on this one for sure. But the idea is similar to things we've seen in other parts of the Caribbean. We've talked about on Shoot the Breeze before with Jamaica. In fact, did we talk about it last week? Where Jamaica is having these issues where the fishermen can't even go on beaches they grew up going on because the government has sold it out and whatnot. And so these beaches have become private. The Bahamas, Nassau has been dealing with that for a long time too. Privatization of these beaches and stuff like that, where and certain hotels and stuff where Bahamians can't even go on them. Bahamians can't go in the casino and all that kind of stuff. So it's something that, even though the prompt is Bahamian specific, I think everyone can kind of understand the general idea of what's going on here. Let me start with Jose on this. Jose, what are your thoughts? What's your thought? Jose, you're muted if you're talking, brother. All right. Let's go to Anthony then. Anthony, you might be able to articulate some understanding here. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. Yeah. And Koku, it's like you said. It was like you said. I think I had mentioned it. No, we had mentioned it at the end of the show about how this group of grassroots brothers and sisters in Jamaica was fighting against that those laws that the government was trying to pass. Jamaicans couldn't even go to some of them beaches, because of the privatization and selling them out to other people, whether they was Chinese or whoever else, foreign groups of people. I had Coco. I can remember back about 20 years ago. You remember when they had that white boy, that show, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? Y'all remember that? Robin Leach.
Yeah.
Yep.
You remember at that time, I don't remember was it Penland, but whoever was prime minister, remember they was, because I know Bahamas got 700 islands. And remember, they were selling off islands back then. And the price then was like an island at that time, like you could buy an island, I guess they were talking about some of the small islands, for like $1 million. I was just on that a couple of months ago, and I was looking at, because I was doing some research on the Bahamas, and like some of the islands, like the prices of some of the islands, they have some of them priced at like 6.5 million and stuff like that. Like some of the small islands, some of the keys. Okay, I've been following the politics of what's his name, that brother Bowlegs up in Andros Island. That the young cat in Parliament, young, like probably 35, 40, whatever. He was a member of Parliament up there representing, I think it was North Andros. Was it North Andros Island? Where he was representing what he was hitting.
That's what I've been doing some research. He's been doing some research.
Yeah, I've been looking at it because they got some of the same problems from the central government, out there. Because I think some of the people like there at Andros was kind of like even halfway kind of thinking of like some autonomy and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, shit, we need to build our own, some of them. But I've been following kind of closely. Not as much. I kind of slacked up a little bit, but I've been following them a little bit. But it's just like, like I say, Bahamas is 700 islands. That's a whole bunch of islands. And I don't know, like you say, the debt thing or whatever was a financial debt. And then, you factor in, because the economy of the Bahamas, though you had agricultural section, all that, the fisheries and stuff, but, it's largely based on tourism, to a great degree. The tourist thing is like the biggest thing. If people come to the Bahamas, like, it's probably more people come to the Bahamas every year. I don't know, it's probably like 1 million people or more than that. 3 times as many people come to the Bahamas who live in the Bahamas because of the tourism thing. And when you factor in a whole lot of things that they got going on right now, and like I said, you got these foreign entities coming up here purchasing land and purchasing the good land, in the prime land to like build hotels and all that stuff. And next thing you know, where it used to be a fishing ground where people went to dive for lobsters or whatever, a conch or whatever, now they can't even go there no more. Because guess what? This Chinese firm got it. Or guess what? This firm from Canada got it. No, guess what? This firm from Australia or from wherever, from Britain, the UK, got it. Encroaching on the people's rights, man. And it's the same thing. If you think about it, it's the same thing that happened to the black people in the islands off the coast of the United States. In the Sea Islands. You know what I'm saying? The Gullah people. You know what I'm saying? Well, they used to be all over that place. Next thing you know, you got a place called Hilton Head. You know what I'm saying? And they raising the prices and things so high where the people can't afford to be there. And next thing you know, they turn into the damn Sea Islands, into a resort. You know what I'm saying? The Gullah Geechee people, it's still something else, but they losing their land, about hundreds by the year probably, You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I don't want to go on too far about it because I'm not as deep as you brothers, y'all, that's y'all homeland and everything. But I've been reading a little bit about it, trying to learn something about it. And I land right there, man.
No, but see, this is why you're so appreciated. So you see, when I jumped through all the hoops to figure out which streaming service to use because Anthony couldn't get on or Buana couldn't get. There's a reason for that because and I would do the same, by the way, for Black Steel, Brother Bakari, Ditsa, Kofi, whoever else. But it's because of the knowledge base that comes through. You see, Anthony has been looking up. I mean, imagine Anthony knows Boleg from who's the rep for, what's that? The Berry Islands and North Andros, I think. That's stunning stuff. And to see that you've looked into what's going on there, which again is a similar struggle to what's going on in Jamaica, like you mentioned, the Gullah Geechee and various places too. But it's interesting to see that you were even familiar with that. But with that said, let me talk to Black Steel. Black Steel, what say you?
So this is an interesting topic. This is crazy. So it seems like they're trying to sell the islands. They're trying to sell the island from the Bahamian people. This is neo-colonialism.
So let me just add one thing that he said there too. So Anthony mentioned there's 700 islands. That's kind of a misnomer. It is islands and keys. So there's about 20 main islands of the Bahamas, and then there's like keys and stuff like that. Smaller islands and keys. But what the brother said here, which I found interesting because I didn't even know this was the case. He mentioned that this part I knew. He mentioned that keys used to be sold before, but not whole islands. And then he mentioned the part that I didn't know. He mentioned like Ragged Island that was destroyed a couple of years ago in a hurricane. I guess Buana, they're trying to sell Ragged Island now, because that's what the young fella in the video was saying, and I found that to be interesting. So that I'm not sure of, but I know historically they've long, like Anthony said, lifestyle rich and famous. They used to sell keys and stuff back in the days, but whole islands now, that's a whole new thing to me. But Black Steel, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so it seems like this is a neo-colonialism. Europeans are trying to buy the land. If they can't get you out, they'll just buy you out. And the young brother said like he's don't take the land away from the people. The people need the land to survive. The people need that land. And it's sad people sell out their heritage for a couple of dollars. I think that's very tragic. I'm not as skilled on this topic as most, but I think that because of the neocolonialism and people trying to steal land, the people who need the land to farm or grow whatever necessities they have, and then, but you see it all across the Caribbean, in Jamaica, how the people can't even go to the beaches no more. Any black-owned neighborhoods in the U.S., they sell that land. Some people are willing to sell out the masses of people for their own self-benefit. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. Ditso, what say you to it? Oh, did Ditso leave?
Well, I'm here. Since Black Steel said before, pretty much I don't have much to add. And listening to somebody who's actually there and living throughout the whole thing, I can't disagree with the points that what we're seeing is the continuous attempt of neocolonialism to do what neocolonialism does: steal, plunder, and all the horrible things. So in that sense, I've kept tabs on what has been happening in Bahamas as much as I could. I have a few contacts there, friends I've met in my activism. So unfortunately, all the way from here to Costa Rica, there's little I can do in that sense, but support those who are conscious of the problems and seek ways to repair and resolve those issues. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna say.
Appreciate that, dude. So yeah, Trigger made this statement. He said island countries have to be connected to strong continents. In the case of our conditions, I think island countries unfortunately connect to adversaries. That's absolutely correct. When what's that song Sparrow had again? The Federation. When they tried to do the Federation back in the day, I gotta admit, my country, instead of joining in with the rest of the Caribbean, was like, you know what? We'll tie our future to the US. And a lot of the Caribbean countries, central and southern, they couldn't get along with Jamaica. A lot of them started to tie their future, their destiny to South America. So you're right about that. That's why, as a Caribbean person and a Pan-Africanist, I'm so gung-ho about Africa being strong. Because if Africa is strong, we connect our future to Africa. And that allows us to even have some protection with a strong Africa. But this situation that we're in now is not a good one at all. And I'm not just talking about my country, but the region. Brother Bakari, what say you to it?
Okay, it seems like that has become African culture to just sell out. That's what I got to say about it. We will sell any damn thing. We easily sell out. Seems like that have become our culture. I'm not nearly only know about the Bahamas like the good brother Anthony did, but I know one thing when they say he's selling out the people. Man, just think about African people history since we've been on this side of the world. Think about African people history in Africa, man. It's this our damn culture to just sell out. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, this is why you said in the chat earlier, and by the way, thanks, Bakari. But we need that cultural revolution to be a little bit more, to have more resolve and not just sell to these folks. And when I say sell, I'm talking about even our souls in some instances. We have to change that about ourselves. With all of that said, though, I think I got everyone else. Let's hear from Buana. Buana, you tell me, are they trying to sell Ragged Island?
They try to sell everything. Let me don't be negative. I'll try to explain to the brothers as best as I can what's actually going on. Try to do it in a very brief way. So first, Anthony, in your research of the name Boleg is a derivative of a Native American last name, Bolegs. Bolegs was a Native American last name, so that's where the black people, they had slavery with black people. Yeah. So they were Native American. So when you hear that last name Bolegs, that's actually coming from the Native American relationship that some black people had, not only in the islands but in South Florida. So when you hear that last name Boleg or Bolegs, that's an actually Native American. That's not an English last name term. So when you do the research that it's connected Bolegs, but they anglicize it to Boleg in the Bahamas. As far as land rights issues, see, the Bahamas is a tricky place, okay, and there are a lot of nuances, okay. So what the government has not done for a long time is to diversify the economy of the Bahamas. They relied so heavily on one economy or two, tourism and banking. Some place to allow the tourists to recreate and some place to hide money. We've been doing that for so long. We have not developed other industries like fishing and fisheries, like the agricultural industry, like all kind of like Jamaica has developed their music industry, where they have another facet that is diverse that they could sell to the world. And if if tourism fails, they can rely on music. They can rely on track and field. All these other different diverse industries, we have not diversified yet. They slowly working on it, but I don't think that they're going fast enough for this global economy. And what has happened is a lot of the billionaire classes of people have discovered the Bahamas. They say, listen, this is a respite. I could come to the Bahamas like Peter Nygaard, do whatever the frick I want to do, and pay off some politicians some money, provide a few jobs here and there, and I could basically do whatever the hell I want to do because they have the billions of dollars to do it. Now, I had a conversation with Kofi, the last conversation I had with him, where we discussed the fact that there are wealthy Guyanese people who have left Guyana, went to first world countries, and made a whole lot of money. And my argument to him was, you need to look back and invest in your country. You can't just forget about it. Well, that exists with Bahamians as well. You can't just rely on foreigners' money to come in and help and assist your economy. See, the young gentleman say he ain't even in the Bahamas. So I'm curious to know when he becomes a professional, whether he will invest in the Bahamas back. Because if everybody leaves and nobody is trying to create a home base or a home base economy, something to buttress against foreigners who would come in to do these kinds of development, what do you expect to happen? What do you expect to happen? You have to look back. I'm not saying you can't be the best of yourself anywhere else in the world, but you have to develop home base as well. Anyone will tell you this, but this is the short fit. I feel like this is the failings of some immigrants, not all, who are Bahamian or who are sons of the soil, who leave the Bahamas, who leave Jamaica, who leave Guyana, who leave Haiti, and don't look back to help develop them places. So what happens is other people do it because you are creating a void. And then you complain about, oh, how these other people coming in to take over because you have left it there for them to take over. You have created that void or helped to create that void. Now you can complain about it. The Bahamians don't have billions or millions of dollars well, some do. But most Bahamians don't have billions of dollars, but there's money out there in the world. Like Bahamians who have left, they have an interest in their own home country. So you must look back. You must look back. Bahama right now, the hotel in the Bahamas, one of the major hotels, is a couple of billions of dollars. This is different monies in China coming together to build these kinds of property and land spaces. Well, you have some Bahamians who are multi-millionaires. Are they going to be? But the other problem is, well, the dynamic is not being discussed is black jealousy. Okay, and black jealousy is where sometimes you have successful people, black people, right? When they come in and try to do certain things and create certain things within the economy, other black people don't want to see that happen. So they push to try to destabilize and crash your shit. This happens in Africa, happens in many different kinds of places. Black people don't like to see other black people successful. Now that is a sad state of affairs for our mindset. But coming out of the tradition that we come from, we have to disabuse ourselves of that philosophy and thinking. You know what I mean? That's unfortunate, but some of us have that niggerish mindset still, that plantation mindset, and we working to disabuse ourselves for that. As far as the sale of the land spaces, let me think. Let me say this: if I was in power, I would lease rather than sell. Okay, so Donald Trump talked about the art of the deal. I think it's a bad deal to sell land outright. But how the government is seeing it is they're saying, if I sell this little small plot of land for 19 million, this person is going to build a major resort to basic essential in businesses, monies. They're going to be able to employ Bahamian people. So out of your desperation, you could sell generational land, you could sell land belonging to the people, and it's in effect is only going to provide jobs. How silly is that? So for me personally, I have, when Brother Bakari, let me finish, Brother Ditso.
Sure.
When Brother Bakari talks about going out in the streets and things like that and protesting against government, I've done that already. I've walked next to people who the next year was in office. And then we protested and dogs being called at us and shit. You know, police being putting up barricades in front of us when we protested the government who would do these kinds of devilish things. You know, and the result of that is when they get in, they do the same shit. So what my solution is this: what do I do in that scenario? Either I create a situation where I take it the Maurice Bishop way, and we know how that ends. We know how that ends. You know what I mean? And I don't like to see, I don't want to see my family repressed or depressed or murdered or killed, or myself for the sake of I'm doing for people who at the end of the day still going to trade off everything to the United States or China because they feel like their belly should be full first. The hell with that, what I'm talking about with this self-empowerment and doing for self. Or do I try to, within the economy itself, try to create a space where I could employ Bahamians, bring back some money to Bahamians, and still be able to live well myself in the world? So strategically, I have to, in my mind's mental space, I have to do both. I can't just not look back at my economy and my country because this is the home base. However, I also am a global person with a global perspective as well. I want to get money. It takes money to do anything in the world. It takes relationships as well, but it also takes money. So it's not as simple as black and white. This brother coming on the YouTube, he's expressing something where people may not know the nuances that exist within the country itself. There are many different kinds of nuances, especially when you have a country. You know what I mean? We're dealing with a country. There's many different nuances, many different ones, and you have to operate intentionally and intelligently in terms of getting what you want. I understand sometimes it may seem grim, but we working on it. I'll put it like that. Bahamians who are intelligent and well thinking, we working on it.
I just want to add that I think Buana is saying a major part kind of quietly. And it's not just the Bahamas. You'll hear people from Haiti who I hang around here in the States. You have people from Jamaica, Grenada, etc. One of the problems with when you leave the country to say get an education or some skill or what have you, when you return, there's serious barriers to entry there. You know, my grandfather used to say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you coming in, you have the kind of thinking that persons around here have, that's not the kind of thinking you're going to go back home to for the most part. That's the Bahamas, that's Jamaica, Haiti, etc., the whole Caribbean. And I think that's an important part because that usually is the deterrent. When they talk about brain drain from Black equals African countries, yeah, that brain drain happens because my brain won't be utilized because of how the system is set up in my home country. So I might as well stay out here talking about global mindset and whatnot, making money. Might as well stay out here and live a certain life, contributing to the project, right? Because I won't be able to express myself and do the things that I would want to do just off of what I have to say, just off what I know. Now, if you're a multi-millionaire, sure, you might be able to go home and do something, and you'll probably have to go anywhere from a little bit to a lot the Maurice Bishop way. Because again, there's systems, those places are the way they are because there's long-held systems in place. And there's a reason why when you look at a lot of those countries, especially back in the day, all the leaders were like 70-something-year-old dudes. There's a system at play, and it's hard for the youth to really crack into it. So what ends up happening, A lot of old folks will tell you, will go along and get along. Try to change the system from within. That doesn't happen. Rarely does it. Consider when we talk about these things as well. That same youth in that video, when he gets his training, whatever it is he's out here doing, he tries to go back. He says from Bimini. He tries to go back. He'll have a hard time trying to make anything happen. That's just what it is. Anyway, I know Ditso wanted to add something. Be brief for me, please, Ditso. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I just while listening to all this, I remember I had read this particular news in regards. It was published August last year. So, and I cite the news. The link is on the back chat. It says foreign investors have pursued the Supreme Court to block Bahamian tax authorities' bid to cease and sell of their private islands to recover an unpaid 9.2 million real property tax bill, and then it gives the news in that sense. So I was in lines of this conversation and this particular event. I was wondering, has there been any updates in regards of this particular case? Because this evidence or this shows to us the line of this whole conversation. The problem is that we have kiss-ass people who reach power, who then in turn either respond to the imperialist BS of the United States, Europe, or China or Russia, and sell off. And then we're left with losing our sovereignty and losing our self-determination. So there's a combination of the interests of this imperialist nations that is always undermining our capability of progress and our capability of growth. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you for that. Is there any other last words on this prompt? I'd like to see if I can squeeze in one more before we go. One more prompt. Is any last thoughts here? All right. Thanks for that conversation. Let's go to the last topic for tonight. Shoot a breeze topic number 4. Joseph, if you're still there, let me know. If not, I could take you off the panel if you fell asleep or something. Shoot a breeze topic number 4 says there is no power in disconnection. We must connect the dots. This came with a link that's taken us to YouTube. We will watch the video. For some reason, I don't see it. Okay, let's do it. We will watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
Anticipation of a profound insight from Minister Farrakhan, I prepared a chart. And this is a chart that I think says in another way what he so profoundly provided us today. This chart to me represents beautiful, educated, moneyed Black people all over America. It could represent Black organizations. It could represent Black churches. It could represent Black social and civic organizations. And what you will notice about these beautiful Black people all over America is that everybody is doing their own thing. Caught up in a Eurocentric value of rugged individualism, having forgotten that it takes a village to raise a child. There is no power here, brothers and sisters. There is no power here. Power is most effective concentrated. You can take a 55-gallon drum of water, spill it over, it will disperse, find its own level, and eventually evaporate. You can take that same 55-gallon drum of water, put it under pressure, put a lid on it, put a hose in it, put a nozzle on the end of that hose, and it can cut concrete. There is no power with us being disconnected. See, there's nothing wrong with dispersion. I live in Cleveland, you live in Atlanta. We have folk in the Caribbean. We have folk in Africa. That's dispersion. That's okay, but we do not have to be we are powerless in disconnection. This is where all the power is. You see? This is where all the power is. Whether you are at the center of your own network or part of someone else's network, this is where the power is. There's a beautiful, beautiful African proverb that says, when spiders unite, they can tie up a lion. When we connect, because we are disconnected, we're disconnected from those of like mind. We're disconnected from the best practices in our community. I don't care what it is that you want to do, what profession you want to engage in, what business you want to get into. I can introduce you to brothers and sisters all over America they are doing it to death. You just don't know who they are. You are disconnected from them. There is no power in disconnection. Okay? When we connect, we prevent interlopers from coming into our communities and taking and destroying at will.
All right, George.
Try to open up the Booker T. Washington delicatessen in Chinatown and see what happens. So we must connect. We must connect the dots. That must be the movement for our people in the 21st century. We need a lot of us doing a little instead of a few of us doing a lot. We need to get together to get ahead. That is why we must network. That is what we teach at the Power Networking Conference in June in Cleveland. Come and visit with us.
Thank you, George.
Thank you very much.
Please
remember what it said in Isaiah. Remember what it says in Isaiah. And the voice of the Lord said, whom shall go for us? Then said I, here am I, send me. We must go, brothers and sisters. We must do this. We must take on the responsibility. We are responsible for our own success or failure. Thank you.
That's George Frazier with the message. And by the way, you see how he ended that with that little bit of theology? That's how Black theologists should be operating. You know, that's how we should be operating. Turning those parables and into sermons and sermons into courses of action for our people. With that said, let me start with Anthony on this one. Anthony, should have been something number 4. There's no power in disconnection. We must connect the dots. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I enjoyed that. I agree with that 100%. You know, and you may not. I mean, okay, like this here for a minute. I look at it like this here. You know, like, I mean, he really talking about how fractured we are as a people. You know, as a community. You know, Black people here in this country. You know, and Black people all over the world. We'll find all kind of things to disagree with each other about. You know what I'm saying? To keep us from doing what we need to do. It's like I call it the classic Negro stalling tactics. We'll use, well, I'm a cap, you know, well, I believe in free enterprise, or I believe in socialism, or I believe in any other ideology. I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim. I mean, it's ironic that what he said about opening up the Booker T. Washington place. When he said that, it made me think about this speech that Booker T. Washington had made. And even if Booker T. was saying it to another group of people, I always take that and use it for us. He said, now, we could be as separate as the fingers. We could be as separate as the fingers. And my interpretation of being separate as the fingers, okay, you know what? You could be a Black man and woman in the Bahamas. You could be a Black man and woman in Haiti, or in Jamaica, or in Guyana, or on the continent of Africa, or a Black man and woman in the UK, Canada, or the USA. Okay, we all have our different cultures. You know what I'm saying? And we all have a different way of doing things, and we have a different perspective at looking at the same thing sometimes. But at the end of the day, what happened when we come up against the enemy? Okay, I can say Koku could get his hand, walk up to me. I can walk up to Koku and slap Koku with my open hand, one fist. I mean, not with my hand, just slap him. Now I might slap Koku and he'll look at me. Man, what the hell you slapped me for? And then Koku would turn around and ball his fist up and do what? It punch me and knock my damn ass off. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying, okay, with that hand, with that open hand, with all them fingers sticking up there by itself, you ain't gonna really hurt nobody. Yeah, you might hurt my dignity, but when you ball that fist up, what happens? That fist becomes strong. It becomes strong as hell because that fist balled up with all them fingers together. And you know, it'll make you see the light. You know what I'm saying? So we got to like rally around that. Okay, yeah, man, we got a little difference right here. We got differences right here. But at the end of the day, guess what? Like we were just talking about the islands. Hey, they're trying to buy up islands and buy up land in Jamaica. Trying to buy up land in the Bahamas. Trying to buy up land in the Sea Islands, the Gullah Geechee people. Hell, you know, they trying to buy up land probably in Cape Verde, you know, and everywhere else. Trying to buy up land, and you know, and we as black people, we at risk for losing our sovereignty like that. So what we got to do? Man, we got to get together and say, no, we ain't gonna do this. Hey, this shit ain't gonna happen. And we got to rally around each other and support. I got to support my brothers and sisters in Bimini. You know what I'm saying? No, me and Bimini, we got to go there and support our brothers and sisters in Guyana. You know, they got foreign corporations in Guyana trying to fuck up the rainforest and stuff and take the land from the indigenous people out there and from the black community, those African community, the maroon people back there. You know what I'm saying? So they can start drilling for oil and other stuff. In Colombia, you know, they had a whole thing where they trying to displace the African people and the indigenous people on the coast of Colombia. You know what I'm saying? Because that land that was basically like given, hey, this is y'all land up here. You know what I'm saying? Now they're saying, well, you know, it's too much stuff up under the soil up here. And so they try to displace them. That's what that sister Emerson Manioma, who had got killed back in 2014, you know, she was fighting for the rights of the Africans and the indigenous people up there. You know, because they were trying to, you know, the land grab. They were trying to take the land and redevelop it. You know, it'll get the minerals and resources out of it. So what I'm saying, man, we all got to support each other. That what he said. We ain't, look here, Africans in America, man, you ain't finna win no struggle by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Africans everywhere else, man, you ain't gonna win the struggle by yourself. You know what I'm saying? It take all of us to get together and support each other. And that's what we're saying. We got to reconnect. We got to connect. It's not really, we got to connect. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, to me, we ain't never been connected. You know what I'm saying? You know, we've been connected with lip service, but we ain't never been connected with concrete service. And so we got to get our stuff together. Like Brother Bakari say, man, support a black business. You know what I'm saying? No, help build your own community. Build up our people, you know, before you go spending your money somewhere else. And stand up for us. Before you, I ain't gonna go, hey, I believe in the rights for everybody, but we're gonna fight for our rights first. You know what I'm saying? We gotta rally around ourselves, man, to get ourselves together. But yeah, man, I agree with it, man. And you know, like I said, it's a nuance to everything. All of us gonna see it a different way. But at the end of the day, regardless of us having, well, I look at it this way or that way, at the end of the day, we still gonna have to come together if we wanna defeat the bully that's going up against us. And I'll leave it right there.
Appreciate that, Anthony. Well said. I agree with everything you had to say. I see we got this person, American Soul, sound like a good white guy. In the chat says he keeps coming to this channel because racist against whites and black Americans, telling them start a race war, black identity extremists. You see that guy, American Soul? If you guys who have a wrench, who are moderators, ban him from the channel for me. Just right click on his name and get him up out here. That's a dangerous person, white, black, in between. That's a very dangerous person pushing a narrative right there on the screen that I haven't heard anyone even come close to mentioning, if ever, actually, but if so, in a very long time. So y'all get him on up out of here. And anytime he comes back, without question, just get him up on out of here. Once again, thanks, Brother Anthony, for that response. Let me hear from Ditso at this time.
Okay. Look, I cannot disagree with the points that it's being given because that's what I work in. That's what I've dedicated my life, my adult life, to assist and contribute in doing, connecting the dots. You know, I like that phrase he said about the Eurocentric, ruggish individualism, which exemplifies extremely well in going back to that first conversation we had of how that creates worsened conditions for Black communities, especially and coming from of the United States. And also, it makes it harder for us to connect the dots when that Eurocentric, ruggish individualism becomes the norm to then deny our existence. But I do agree that the work and the fundamental work is precisely that, connecting the dots. One thing that I do consider would have strengthened even more this point, he was saying back on '09. I mean, it's been almost, we're 4 years shy of 20 years of this being talked uh, in this sense. But one of those things that fortifies is connecting the dots is also a work of respect. It is a work of understanding each other, and it's also a work of learning to identify those the illusion of connection of dots that are only functioning to serve the pocket of views, no matter if they're black, white, or whatever. But that can also happen. So we have to understand that social connection as well as civil connection in order to progress and protect our needs comes with the risk that you will have grifters, that you will have scammers, but also comes with the greatest opportunity that we can build upon change. And without doubt, that should be the north for everything that we do and continue to do in honor of our ancestors and in honor of our history here in the Western Hemisphere and in honor and respect of the history of Africa and anywhere else where there are beautifully melanated people that have suffered the grave consequences of colonialism, imperialism, and self-centered BS of some areas of the world, especially in the north.
All right, appreciate that. Did so. Let's hear from Brother Bakari next.
Connecting with one another, it's the most important thing that we can do. But we can't just connect. You have to connect and be organized. But we do need to connect. We can't, if you want to control anything, you have to be able to connect as a people. Right? So we're not connected here in the United States for the most part. That's why everybody else control our communities. But we have to be connected here so we can be connected internationally. That's that's like the beginning of our revolution is our connection and seeing ourselves. And when and because eventually we're gonna have to get to where we just worry about us. Connect so we can build ourselves up, so we can take care of our youth. As like Anthony said, we look for anything to disagree, and then once we disagree, we think we can't work together because of we had a disagreement. Sometimes it's not because of the disagreement the reason we can't connect. It was because how we spoke to one another during that disagreement. That's why I made sure I came back and spoke and let everybody know, like, if you felt as if I was trying to disrespect you by the things I said or the way that I said it, I apologize. Because if I want to connect with our people and I want us to build, and we talking about doing a meet and greet so we can have a real meeting and things that we need to do, that's part of me being able to connect to brothers or sisters who's in the chat or in the panel, who's on the panel or in the chat. So that's the most important thing. We have to be able to connect with our people, connect with our people in South America. And once we get to that point, and once we get to that point, we're gonna start moving the needle forward. I'll yield the mic.
Appreciate that, Brother Bakari. That takes us to Black Steel. Black Steel would say.
I mean, I think it goes without saying, hold on, that we need unity. There's been a lot of things that have been set up to keep our people at odds with one another. So we have to understand that all the distractions are meant for a purpose because they fear us organizing. We just had a troll in the chat who talked about whatever the fuck he's talking about. I think that if he's a FBA, he needs to worry about these white people that are erasing his heritage, than what we're talking about as Africans who want to organize and unite. But there's a lot of insidious people who work to disorganize African people. We can't lose sight of that. But I think the brother said, so many people have already said what we need to do. I'll go ahead and leave it there. Thanks.
Black Steel, whatever you eating, that is good. I can tell.
No. I had some dinner work done, and my mouth is kind of numb. So that's what you're hearing.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you for that, Black Steel. Last but not least, Buana, you've seen and heard everything else everyone had to say. What say you to all of it?
Yes, sir. I'll be quick. So I remember hearing Louis Farrakhan, Minister Louis Farrakhan, saying that Elijah Muhammad said that our unity is more important or is more powerful than an atomic bomb. And if you think about that, that is a very powerful statement, because Dr. Henry Clark say if Black people decided to do one particular act, whether right or wrong, just move in one direction, whether right or wrong, it'll effectuate the whole entire world, the whole entire world. So I think that it just places importance on the fact that we are collectively, we should do things to get together. And any person who would seek to divide us or separate us is an enemy to us, is an absolute enemy to us, no matter what complexion they come in, by the way. No matter what complexion they come in. Now, are there going to be disagreements between the brothers and things of that nature? Absolutely. We could disagree on issues, some issues here and there. We could disagree on issues, but fundamentally, when the rubber meets the road, we collectively need to get together because our unity is more important or more powerful than an atomic bomb. And if we seek to try to get power anywhere in the world, we have to be unified, despite the fact that we may have disagreements on different kinds of issues. One of these days, we're going to get beyond our issues, our little religions or politics or whatever, and see the bigger issue. This is what Gavi was talking about. One God, one aim, one destiny, one aim, one God, destiny. It is pivotal to our forward movement as people. You know what I mean? It's either that or perish. It's either that or perish. So I do agree with the mind sentiments, and I appreciate the fact that Brother Bakari came on and did apologize and did say, well, I could do it another kind of way. And this is development and growth. It is a good thing when brothers get together to commune with one another. We are having community, and then we take our community or communion with one another into our respective enclaves and spread the message of unity, spread the message of correction and intelligence in other places and spaces, because individually we are leaders in our own right. So there is importance with the meet and greet and getting together. I believe that. But there are also importance in communing every Saturday, ironing out our differences, talking about our different issues, but taking it out to the masses and educating the masses or spreading the message of what we do here every Saturday night. That's very important. But I'll leave it there just to be brief.
And thank you for that, one. In the spirit of being brief, like I said, this is the last song for the night. But I didn't want to ignore Provide Trigger. I think she posted 2 really good comments in the chat. One of them is on the screen. And I think we should respond to this because oftentimes when certain prompts are put up, if you pay attention to the comments afterwards, it's like, well, we didn't really fully explain or speak to all aspects of the prompt. So I believe Provide Triggers is comment here can help kind of expand the conversation to its fullest. She says, what are the organized institutional mechanisms needed for this, connecting the dots? Where do we start at a multinational level, wherever we are? And I think that's a damn good question. So again, in the spirit of being brief, anyone can answer in any order.
Yeah. I'd like to go for that. What are the organized institutional mechanisms needed? First, it is a double-edged sword to depend uniquely on institutional mechanisms, because when you're referring to institutional mechanisms, you are referring to official legislated organisms that control this whole thing. But the best mechanisms needed are a mixed aspect of things. In what way? You don't need institutional to organize from a local and to expand that slowly and surely. First, focus on your most immediate local area. Work on educating and work on networking with those closest to you. Eventually, if you are able to establish a civil action in that sense, then you can start proceeding into going and pressuring your national Congress to push for laws that benefit not only your community, but the communities around you, like protection of water or security of food, security in against organized crime or things like that. All those nitty gritty things that happen. And where do we start a multinational level? Wherever we are. Okay, this is why I was telling you it's a mixed, because you already have, in the example of Latin America, we have the CELAC, which is the highest geopolitical organization representing all nations within Latin America and Caribbean. And one effective thing is we as civil organizations, we pressured them, and we had what happened last year, which was them sitting in front of EU political representatives and reminding them, you owe us reparations, just to give an example. Africa has different geopolitical organizations that have been developed eventually. And well, now that BRICS exists, but there are criticisms towards BRICS in that sense. However, understanding that and understanding that the ruggish individualism only kills freedom and disables the possibility of a more connected community, which doesn't deny the freedom of the individual to be and to exist and to function. It only tells us that we have to work as that village, that we can't do shit, we can't do everything alone. We need of each other. So learn how to organize amongst each other. That's the whole point of that.
All right, much appreciated. Does anyone else want to tackle the question on the screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay, go ahead, brother.
Okay. Go ahead, Boiler. I can wait. Go ahead, Boiler.
Yeah, sure. So I'll be brief, Anthony. So quickly. So let's start. Let's grow where we planted. Provide triggers. So on this Better Medicine podcast, what institutions that you hear that we usually talk about? So you have Jacadero talk about empowering Omaha. That is a feature within Omaha. And I'm not saying that you can't grow where you planted in your state, wherever you are. But if you don't have a place, institutionally, Jacadero talks about empowering Omaha, where he brings together collectively many skilled labor or laborers to come together for a particular thing. I want you to do your homework and look into that site. You may find something that you maybe want to invest in. You have Black Steel. Black Steel is in South Florida. The president of the United States is currently getting rid of the Department of Education. Okay, so that means there will be many people, left out there. So, maybe get with Black Steel. Maybe you may be able to tutor someone or assist in, reading or something, because that will getting rid of the Department of Education will lead to a whole lot of shortfalls for Black folks. Education is one of the pivotal institutions within our community. So if you are skilled in that particular thing, get with him on that particular thing. Brother Bakari is invested in buying back Black business issues, economics, and things of that nature. If you have a business, get with him and help him and let him help you to promote your business, whatever it is, whatever your state is. If you don't have anything, get with him and even to coalesce or have conversations with him to try to see if you can help him build that brand in collectively getting together to promote Black business. All these things are institutions within our community. And now that you have a network of people who are, have a piece of investment into all these kinds of different ideas and things like that, get with them. If you're interested in island affairs or business matters in the Caribbean, get with me. Get with me. I'm nothing beyond asking or having a conversation with. Just, grow where you planted. If you can't do it within your state, within your community, and where you don't see it being fostered, grow where you planted. Address the brothers in the room and sisters, and then, do your thing here if needed. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I really. Okay. I'm gonna be real brief. Really, what I was thinking. I was thinking that the sister, the questions she was asking, I don't know necessarily if she was talking, and she could correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that she was talking about like institutions, like government institutions or whatever, or some kind of institution. I was thinking that she was saying institutions, from among our own people and stuff. If I ain't mistaken, I don't think she was saying like we need an institution for the government or some kind of national institution. I thought that she was talking about some grassroots stuff. That's all I wanted to say. I'll leave it right there.
Yeah, like you, I got that. I got the question is more along the lines of how do we organize? So what organizational structures, how to interconnect them, that kind of thing. More like a grassroots organization, but in what style? I think that's really what she was asking. The second part, I'm not going to put up on the screen, but she did also want to know if we should be aggressive kind of like the AU in terms of, organizing a body that dictates that every nation involved operate a certain way. And I'm, you had me bought at aggressive. I think whatever we do, we got to be aggressive with it. And I think this passive diffusion and all that type of thing we've been banking on just isn't enough anymore. Because we're still falling behind a lot too. If there's no other thoughts on that prompt, then I would like to get shout outs from everyone for what they saw positive during the week, either in their personal lives or in the African world. I'd like to get your shout outs for something positive. Let me start with Ditso on this one. What would you like to shout out this week? All right, look like Ditso left. Brother Bakari, what would you like to shout out this week?
First, I want to shout out this panel and you for hosting this, giving us this platform to speak on every Saturday. I don't know. Well, I wasn't on here last week. And I want to give a shout out to my son, my youngest son, for being accepted into the National Society of Collegiate Scholars. And just a shout out to black folk, black business.
Good stuff, man. Shout out to Kibwe. For real. Shout out to him, man. With that said, let me get a shout out from Black Steel.
Shout out to George Foreman. Rest in peace to him. He passed the other day.
Yeah. Oh, that's it, Black Steel? Okay. Shout out to George Foreman.
That's it. Shout out to the panel, too.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming through as always. Anthony, would you like to shout out this week?
Yeah, man. A couple of them real quick. Yeah, and I didn't know that George Foreman passed, so rest in peace, George Foreman. And shout out to Keyway for doing this thing. Shout out to Bakari for being a big man. You know what I'm saying? And coming back and I don't know if it was warranted, but even just the idea that, hey man, if I offended anybody, I apologize for that. And I want to say that even though it wasn't necessarily warranted, I accept your apology, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I say the same thing. If I ever said something, that sound out of line, I don't mean no harm. But my main shout out is to the government of Niger. The Chinese was over there doing some fucked up shit, practices over there, this Chinese mining company or whatever. And the government of Niger said, hey, y'all got to pack y'all shit up and get the hell up out of here. And so, a lot of people think, well, we just sit in the French out in the West out and we letting the Russians or the Chinese what? Well, he told the Chinese they got to get the hell up out of here too. And so shout out to President Chiani, man. A big shout out to him. And shout out to the panel, man. Much love, respect to all y'all.
Appreciate that, Anthony. It's good to be able to have you and Buana on simultaneously this week. So that's a positive. I shout out StreamYard, I guess, for that. Who's left? Buana. Buana, what would you like to shout out this week?
Oh, yes. So let me do it like this. I see providing triggers. Shout out to the new president of Namibia, the first female president. That is important, providing triggers. So I hope to see her do productive things in Namibia. So shout out to her. Shout out to Kiway, who is a scholar. I don't think it's sports. So Brother Bakari mentioned scholarship. So I think that have to do with academics. Shout out to the brother for putting in that work. We need more black scholars, and shout out for his work and effort in being a black scholar. Also too, I want to put this out there too, because the sister Marcus Garvey is the way mentioned something last week, and it was on my mind to say. And I just want to say, Marcus Garvey, Barbados, the brothers, the mature brothers on the panel, we are not out of reach. If you want to have a conversation in terms of whatever this thing is that you're going through, we are not beyond your reach. So just get out to us, reach out to us, and we are not beyond having a good conversation. So shout out to you, and I hope that you have much success in the future going forward, whatever happens. But for everyone else, shout out to all the great contributions that was made tonight. Also, one last thing, and I gotta push this. Koku is on a new panel. This is StreamYard. StreamYard has all of us on StreamYard. Okay? Now, all of us are over 30. Yeah, all of us are over 30. The brothers could contribute $20, man. $20 is less than $2 a month. You know what I mean? I ain't talking for the brothers who can't do it. If you can't do it, I ain't talking to the brothers. I'm talking about the brothers who spend $20 on lunch. You're all brothers. If you could do it, contribute to the channel that y'all like to bloviate on every Saturday night. Give Koku some money, subsidize his work so we can move forward with this and help spread the message of Pan-Africanism, Gaviism, and etc. So contribute to this channel because we love this channel and we want to see this channel grow and move forward. So give something to the man, subsidize him, because StreamYard is not free. I'll leave it there. I appreciate all the brothers coming out and giving great messages. I'll leave it there, Koku. Go ahead, bro.
Yes, indeed. So that's the end of the show tonight. I want to thank everyone who participated on the panel. Of course, everyone who participated in the chat, and those of you who will be listening to the playback. We shall be back next week. Again, we're on the countdown to episode 200 of Shoot the Breeze. And I'd like to get some ideas from you guys. What should we do during that 200th episode of Shoot the Breeze? So you guys join the Discord, DM me some ideas, leave some comments on YouTube, and let me know what you think we should do.
I already joined the Discord. Sorry, I was out. Thank you, Koku, for everything. Great work. And thank you, all the panelists. And shout outs in the same line to the new president, Namibia. And let's go. Let's rock and roll. Have a great night, everyone.
All right. Thank you for that. So we should be back next week, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make the adjustments if your time didn't change. So I'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, you guys be good, be African. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine. Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.